Mrs. Hammond says her husband is an absentee deadbeat who would rather smoke weed than claim his own child. Today on Divorce Court.
All rise. The Honorable Judge Starr presiding.
Hello, everyone. You may be seated.
Your Honor, this is the case of Hammond v. Hammond.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Divorce Court.
Right.
I'm glad that Mrs. Hammond and Mr. Hammond have trusted us with their relationship and with their family. Mr. and Mrs. Hammond have questions about the paternity of one of their children. So this couple is facing a crossroads. Although they've been married for 2 years and together for 4 years, today's results of a DNA test will be the difference on whether or not this relationship continues. Mrs. Hammond, why don't you tell us why we are actually in divorce court today?
I'm here today because a defendant is a horrible husband and he's poor. He's been acting poor responsibilities towards our child. So I'd like to say also that he has been denying that that is his child, in fact. And if he doesn't get it together, I want to actually get a divorce.
I see you've brought divorce papers to court today.
That's correct.
So you're very serious?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond, you heard what your wife says. What do you say, sir?
All I can say is that I love my family. The reasons that we have the situations and issues that we have in this relationship, Your Honor, is because she's very argumentative, she's very controlling, and she's very self-centered. She likes everything her way. So that's why we have our issues.
I see, again, you've been married for 2 years, but together for 4 years, and there's a little one that's involved. So why don't you tell me how you all met, and then what led us to get to this point?
So we actually met online, and we just started dating a couple times, and then we went on many vacations, and then he actually helped me out of a toxic relationship. So then I later decided to move in with him.
So wait a minute, you were seeing somebody else when you first met Mr. Hammond?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out if you finally got out of this relationship that was not good for you. You move in with Mr. Hammond. You decided to get married.
Yes.
Okay.
I later then found out that I was pregnant.
Okay.
So I told Chris that I actually wanted to move back to Virginia because that's where all my family is.
You were married at that point, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Where were you all living at the time? What state?
We were in, we came from Georgia and then we went to Virginia afterwards.
Oh, okay, so Mr. Hammond was working in Georgia.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, when you guys became pregnant. And he said that he couldn't relocate quickly. Did you understand that?
No, I mean, he just told me that he had to come, basically he wanted to stay there to work. And so I wasn't really understanding that he couldn't sacrifice as a husband, as his wife, to come back where she actually has all her family and support.
She wanted me to sacrifice my job and just leave everything and just say, forget everything, forget what I set up,
So, Mr. Hammond, what
everything.
kind of work did you do?
I was maintenance at a hospital in Marietta, Georgia, actually.
Mrs. Hammond, were you working outside of the home?
No, not while I was pregnant.
So I want to manage expectations. What did you expect Mr. Hammond to do if he has a job in Georgia that is paying for what is going to be your household? You're not able to work. What was your expectation? What should he have done?
I mean, he made a promise and a commitment to me that he would actually, in fact, come down to Virginia with me, and then he backed up out of it, so.
Okay. Mr. Hammond, is that the way you remember it also?
That is correct. But Your Honor, there was a certain time that I was supposed to come down there, not just drop everything. I was constantly getting calls at work about, appointments and stuff like that, but I couldn't just drop and just come to Virginia because you have an appointment. I'm still working. I'm trying to set myself up.
That's an untenable position to be in, especially for a young mother, but also for a young father who's trying to make good financial choices for his family. But that's not the only situation. I understand that a situation occurred in Chicago.
Yeah, so after I went back to Virginia, I came down, and then Chris came for Kai, my son Kai, to be born, and then his family came down to visit us for a little bit.
To meet the baby?
To meet the baby. And Chris left, literally, he left us. A month and a half, he just went ghost. He didn't answer my calls. He didn't even answer my text messages. And then finally, when I got in touch with Chris, I was like, well, why didn't you been answer my calls? And he told me that he was overwhelmed from the whole situation.
Wait a minute, hold up. How long did this go on? That you could not reach your husband?
A month and a half.
That's false, Your Honor. She was constantly texting me and calling me. I'll tell you exactly what happened, Your Honor. My family came to visit their grandson, not to come and get me, to come back to Chicago. That was my initiative. Why? That was my choice. Reason being was because there was too much controversy in the household. Around a newborn child, arguing back and forth, it's not good for anybody. So why would I want to be in an environment that I have to continuously go back and forth with?
But why would you want to be away from your family?
I didn't want to be away, Your Honor. I came from Chicago, and I just moved back with her to Virginia. Then my family came to come visit their...
I got all that.
Okay,
I'm
right.
talking about for 6 weeks.
Right.
Why are you leaving your wife and newborn son by themselves?
It wasn't me leaving. The household that I was in was too toxic for me to be in. It wasn't that I just left and I'm just going to leave. She knows exactly why I left.
Well, then clue me in.
She knows exactly why I left.
Because y'all brought this case here. Why?
All right, I'll tell you exactly what happened.
Why are we
Right.
acting like
What
we're
happened
not going to tell the whole story?
was because-
I'm still not getting what was so toxic in the house that would make you leave your family for 6 weeks and not be in touch.
It was constant. It was always constant back and forth in the household, Your Honor. So that's why. I don't like drama.
Well, I can surely tell you that leaving a postpartum woman with a brand new baby for 6 weeks is gonna bring some drama.
I understand.
She gonna feel some kind of way about
Right.
it. And the judge that hears about it years later gonna feel some kind of way.
Right.
That doesn't even make sense.
Right.
I'm looking
Right.
at a timeline
Right.
of things that have occurred
Right.
that make you question the
My child.
paternity
That
of
is-
the baby. Am I
yes,
correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's the truth.
Okay.
By 2:14, when I was at work, I just got off of work, freshly off of work, she told me that she popped up and said she was pregnant.
Oh, damn. Sorry. What else has been going on? Because the Disappearing Act leads me to believe that you didn't have a lot of support early on in your pregnancy, and in the baby's first year of life.
Yeah, so also there was a time that we go back and forth about why he's not helping out paying the finances, he's not helping out paying the bills.
Right.
He's not helping out pay anything for our son. He then throws the kale salad across the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
Calls
That's a
me
lie.
a B,
That's a lie.
and then tells me
That's a lie.
that I should have had an abortion
That's
from our
a lie.
child. And
That's
then
a
not
lie.
to mention,
never said that.
and then as he's like literally walking out the
Never
door,
said
he
it.
tells me that that's not his son.
I never said that, Your Honor. That's not how that situation even
Tell me from your perspective how that occurred,
were
Mr.
going
Hammond,
back
because
and forth.
clearly that was an argument, right?
I cooked the kale salad because I always cook. I've always been cooking since the beginning of the relationship. All right? So therefore, the food that I cooked, I wasn't able to eat my own food. She got in her feelings and threw the food at me.
So you're
Us going
saying
back and forth.
you're saying
caused her
she
to
threw
pick
the
up
food.
the food from the stove and threw it at me.
I submitted evidence to the court.
Yeah,
Your
and
Honor.
there's
I have
oil on the
evidence
wall at her house,
what he threw.
seeing that there was a thing thrown at me, and then I had to clean it up. I didn't even throw it. That's
Let
the
me
crazy thing about it.
see the evidence, please.
False.
Okay.
Right. She did that.
Somebody threw
Most definitely.
that food on the
And
floor.
Why would I throw the food that I cooked, Your Honor?
I don't know. I don't know how you all
I can never
operate.
get that angry to throw food. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense.
So you're saying that Mrs. Hammond is the one that threw that bowl?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Why would
And
I take the picture and send
Miss-
it to
Miss
the-
Hammond?
Why wouldn't you? To make yourself look good.
So Mr. Hammond is saying that you are the sneaky one, basically.
No, that's not true.
And that you set it up. That's I'm
If that's
going to
not-
interpret
Your
it. Am I
Honor,
right?
If that's not the case, if she says that that's not true, and if none of this is true, right? Our living arrangement that we were in, staying at my cousin's house, right? When I was staying with her, when she went back to her friend's house, which later on I found out that it was the same guy that I took her from the previous situation. Of course, I would be mad and
20-second timeout. Y'all just jumped ahead. there came a time where Mrs. Hammond wasn't living with you again?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you're talking about.
Pretty much. When I was staying with my cousin, which she didn't know at the time, she went back with her friend, whatever, or ex, whatever.
How long? Wait.
Okay.
Were you married at this time?
Yes, we were married.
I think you submitted a timeline.
I did, actually.
I'd like you to walk me through the evidence, sir.
All right.
Okay, so explain. I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can keep
right
up
here,
with you.
you have 12, 17, 22. This is when we got married.
First of all, why am I looking at this? I just want to know what you
Because I'm showing you this because she says that I'm a liar and I'm this and I'm that. But if I'm a liar, then why did you tell me that you were staying with a friend and then you tell me later on, 2 weeks later?
What is it? What are you trying to prove with this document?
What I'm trying to prove that when we got married, all of this, these situations had all arise and all this is happening. Why? Is because of our child. And I want to show that if this is my child, Your Honor.
So I understand that I'm looking at a timeline of things that have occurred that make you question the paternity of the baby. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's the truth.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. Now, start walking me through it.
All right, you have 12, 17, 22. This is when we got married in Florida. All right. Then, after we left from there, went back to the place we were staying at because of the situation. There was so much back and forth. Around 12:30 the same month, she went back to her friend's house. Her friend's house? Which is the ex, whatever, right?
That you later learned to be the original toxic ex-boyfriend.
Of course I was mad and stuff like, yes, okay. After this, she left me again. She had left her ex and came back around 2/6. And this was around the time that I was working at the hospital. Right. After that.
So wait, I'm looking at,
here.
From 12:30, meaning January, I can count. We're only talking like 5 weeks here.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
5 weeks. She leaves the ex-boyfriend and then comes back to you about 5 to 6 weeks later. Okay, keep going.
By 2:14, when I was at work, I just got off of work, freshly off of work, she told me that she popped up and said she was pregnant.
Oh, damn. Sorry.
So I don't know.
That's crazy.
And then, obviously, 10/4/23, Kyla's born. So.
You have every right to question the paternity. Thank you.
I never lied to him. He acted like he didn't care, so that's why I decided to move out.
Wait, what part did he care about? That you had returned to the toxic boyfriend, that you slept with the toxic boyfriend, or that you might be pregnant with the toxic boyfriend's baby? I cannot say for certain what occurred, but I know that based on that timeline, he has every right to question the paternity. You were not living with him for a 5 to 6 week period, and once you returned back to him, you announced that you're pregnant. Am I correct, Mrs. Hammond? I want to be clear on the timeline.
Yeah, but I was straightforward with Christian. I never lied to him. He acted like he didn't care, so that's why I decided to move out.
Wait, what part did he care about? That you had returned to the toxic boyfriend, that you slept with the toxic boyfriend, or that you might be pregnant with the toxic boyfriend's baby? What part did he not care about?
He didn't care about our relationship.
Mrs. Hammond, I'm questioning your judgment now. Because you told me you were in a toxic relationship, and Mr. Hammond saved you from that relationship. It sounds like y'all continued down this path of toxicity because you really didn't get to know each other well enough to know what kind of family you wanted. You didn't even know where you wanted to live, and if you were gonna have the support necessary to start a family, you jumped right in to starting a family. Now there's a baby
Your Honor,
here.
she knows I'm not the father. I don't mean to cut you off, but she knows I'm not the father.
He's the only guy that I've slept with.
So are you saying throughout that time period, that 6 weeks that we looked at, you did not have intimate contact with the ex?
I did not have.
And you didn't have intimate contact with anybody else during that time?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Because I'm going to tell you something, Ms. Hammond. There's only one way that we know that your husband is the only possibility of being the baby's father. That would be if he was the only person that you had intimate contact with 9 to 12 months before the baby was born. If you know that to be fact, then you can stand right there in your confidence. But Mr. Hammond, you have every right to question. And I understand that we have submitted to a DNA analysis so that we can put this question to rest. Am I correct?
Yes,
correct.
that's correct.
Please retrieve the results. Mrs. Hammond, you said you did not cheat and you did not lie. Mr. Hammond, you said that you have questions based on the timeline.
That's why, that's it.
When it comes to 5-month-old Kyler Hammond, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Hammond, you are Kyler's father.
Wow.
Probability of paternity, 99.999999999%. That's your baby, sir.
Wow.
That's your baby.
Wow.
Do you want to say something to your wife right now?
I do. I apologize for saying that I wasn't my kid. I should have trusted you. There was a lot going on around that time, Joyce, and you know that. You know that I love you. I've been continuously taking care of you when you get sick. When you need nobody there, I'm always there for you. That you know for a fact. You know I love you. Regardless, we've been through a lot in this relationship, ups, downs, being homeless, being a lot of stuff. But we're still together for a reason. Why? It's because there's something there, obviously. We got a kid now. So we gotta start thinking about the little one now and how he's gonna grow up in a good environment around good parents that's not going back and forth in that nonsense. So I wanna say I deeply apologize for that. I really do. All right?
You know, Mrs. Hammond, you knew and could stand in confidence because you knew you hadn't slept with someone else. And you may be able to forgive the mistrust, but you'll never forget how it made you feel. Are you able to move through this to the next step, to the next level of what a real relationship is? Do you have the desire to do that?
I still want a divorce.
Tell me why.
I just don't trust that it was gonna work out.
Tell me what you're feeling right now. Mr. Hammond told us what he was feeling. What are you feeling?
Just feeling so hurt. Like, as a mother, like, you left us for a whole month and a half and you went ghost. You didn't answer my calls or my texts and you just left. That hurts.
You have divorce papers here,
Yes.
and you know I will respect your wishes. Corey, will you retrieve the divorce papers, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Mrs. Hammond, you brought completely blank divorce papers with only the signature cards there. That says to me that you walked in here hopeful. With the results of that DNA, we know for certain you're going to have to learn to co-parent, if nothing else. Because that little boy was born of the two of you. And for the rest of his life, he's going to be looking at the two of you to be his examples. You're ordered by this court to be good examples. That's my verdict.
Just need time to think about it because of all the arguments that we.
Yeah, I've been through a lot of stuff too.
It's just really stressful.
It's been stressful for me too. My family and dad seeing their grandson and stuff like that, that plays on my heart. You don't think I think about stuff like that?
Made